Tennis may look like an individual sport, but behind the scenes there's a team of experts analysing every aspect of the game.
With the help of the team behind Britain's top tennis pros, we're going to take a deep dive into all the strategies, techniques and tactics used at the top of the game to help you improve your game.
So if you just notice the return partner in the top left, you see here as the serve goes in, he's looking over the shoulder, being aware of the situation. He moves across the court, which then gives his partner more time and he's able to hit that lob.
I really want to use this now, all the time. Hello everybody, good to see you. After a Wimbledon break, we are back at the National Tennis Centre for another episode of Inspired By. And it's great to see that making a show debut this week is Head of Coach Development, Merlin van der Braam, and returning to the show, it's LTA Performance Analyst, Dev Sharma. Great to see you guys. Thanks so much for joining us. Dev, tell us all about what you do and what you've been up to over the last few weeks.
So I've been helping out the doubles players over Queen's and Wimbledon. With some recent successes with Neil Skupski winning Wimbledon himself.
Wicked. This week we're doing something a bit different. We're looking at doubles, and one of the key things for doubles players is beating people at the net. Merlin, just to get us started, can you give us a sense of what the key skills are for doubles players?
Absolutely. Doubles it's a great game for developing your overall skills. It's a lot more all-rounded than singles. You've got to react really well because there's a lot of net-to-net play. Touch and skill at the net, volleying is a skill that's going to be used a lot more. It's a really great format of the game.
Okay, lovely stuff. Let's take a look at some examples, guys. What have you got for us?
So what we can see here, we've got the two players at the net and the two players on the far side. That volley isn't quite strong enough to put that player under pressure. So every time you're hitting a ball, you'll have a tactical intention to either attack, rally, which is to stay neutral, or defend, and in this instance he's got enough time to be attacking. He's essentially got three options. He can go through the middle, round the outside, or over the top, and because he's got time he chooses to go over the top with an offensive lob. And technically, to achieve that, what you'll notice is that his racket path is a lot more vertical as he hits the ball. Instead of hitting through it, he's really hitting up. And that gives the ball a lift over their head and a lot of topspin to pull the ball back down inside the baseline for a clean winner.
Brilliant stuff. So lobbing is something that you'll see a lot more of in doubles, generally speaking.
Absolutely, yeah. You've got two players at the net or one player up, one player back, and yeah, it's a great option to neutralise the point, or actually, if hit really effectively, win the point outright.
Dev, what about this clip is interesting to you?
So if you just notice the return partner in the top left, you see here as the serve goes in, he's looking over the shoulder, being aware of the situation. He moves across the court, which then gives his partner more time, and as he moves across, he's able to hit that lob. We see the returner hitting the ball, the returner being top right compared to the partner being top left. Specifically on ball 4, when the returner hits the ball goes back in place 79% of the time, compared to when the partner hits the ball, top left, it goes back in place 60% of the time. So it's more effective hitting the ball as a returner on ball 4.
Lovely stuff, guys. Okay, we're heading to Birmingham for the next one, Merlin.
So here we've got ladies doubles and a really nice example of the two ball pass tactic. So you can see here the two net players at the net. And at this point, the player, again, they've got three options. They can go down the middle, out to the side, or over the top. But their first ball, they choose to hit low into the middle, which draws the two net players in close together and stops them from being able to attack the volley. And that sets up the second shot with a little bit more space to go down the line. And often players will notice that line winner, but all the hard work's been done in the ball prior, where you set up and got that easier volley and drawn the two net players close together to create space.
We see on grass that when the rally goes over 5 shots, which it does here, the point ends on a winner double the amount of times than it does on an error.
Wow. And that is a perfect example of that. Amazing stat, Dev. Right, in this one we're at Queen's, and again we're looking at the use of the lob, but in a slightly different context, Dev.
Yeah, exactly that. In this clip, crowd check, again, lobs on the return. And we see that when players do lob on the return, They get the ball back in play 16% of the time more than a usual kind of shot back in play. So it's quite a useful weapon to have in your locker.
So you can see here the players defending against the net players. He chooses to hit down the middle, but the ball going through the middle isn't low enough to force the net player to hit a defensive volley. He's able to attack that volley because it's above the height of the net. The replay just illustrates the point a little better, that you can really see the contact point of that volley being a little bit above that net height. And had the ball dropped a little lower, that would have forced the volleyer to hit a more defensive volley and would have completely changed the outcome of the point.
Lovely stuff, guys. Thank you so much, Dev. I think that's made all of these examples really clear. It's now time for Merlin and I to head out on court and find out how to put all of this into practice. Okay, we've come inside to the court to try some of this out. Merlin, how are you going to get this drill set up now?
Okay, so what we've seen on the match court, we're going to take it to the practice court, and what we're going to essentially do are look at two tactical scenarios where your opponents are at the net in doubles. The first one we're going to practice is the offensive lob, and the second one we're going to practice is that two-ball pass, where your first ball is hitting to the feet of your opponent at the net.
Brilliant stuff. And we've also got some volunteer opponents to help us out as well, Isabella and Angus.
Brilliant. So what we're going to do is we're going to first work on the topspin offensive lob. The great thing about doubles is actually you can practice two at a time on a half court. So we're going to practice this first exercise just on a half court. The tactical situation is that Angus come to the net and you've got options to either hit it through the partner, around the partners, or over the partners. So we're going to practice hitting it over the partners like we saw in the clips earlier.
Got it.
Kate, if you want to jump over there, I'm just going to do a quick demonstration with Angus. So Angus, what I want you to do is I want you to simulate you've come to the net, so you're going to feed the ball into me, and I want you to take a split step, and just to practice that topspin lob, I want you just to stretch up with your racket as high as you can, and that sets my target to try and reach the ball over Angus's head. If he can't touch the ball with his racket, I know I've hit an effective topspin lob, okay? All right, you ready, Angus? Let's give it a go. So comes in and brush up. Okay, so Angus, were you able to touch that one? No, not close, great. The key thing is at contact, we're gonna open our racket face a little bit, but the path of the racket becomes much more vertical, as opposed to a standard ground stroke, you're gonna be hitting more through or horizontal.
All
right, let's give it a go.
Well, you made it look very easy, so I'm sure it'll be great. Ah!
Brilliant, that is a very good lob. That
It's
is
not
a
in the right
really,
part of the
really
court,
nice lob.
though.
Don't worry about that. The fact of the matter is that the lob was above Angus's head. So let's give it another go, going over his head, but it's not an issue. Lovely, good. Great, so what you've done there, Kate, is you've added a lot more height on the ball, you've got a little bit of spin on the ball, and that's a really, really effective shot. There's not much Angus is going to be able to do there. If it was slightly less high, he might try and attempt to smash, but if you can keep that height of the ball, you know, well away from his outstretched racket, you're going to be in a good position to probably win the point from that ball. So we're going to now bring that closed exercise where you were practicing that lob and getting lots of repetitions into a more open, more match-based scenario now. We're bringing it a little bit more towards the match court. So what we've got here from a tactical situation is we're defending at the baseline and we've got both of our net players at the net. For this exercise, they're going to feed the ball to us, and the rule for us is that the first shot we hit must be a lob. You're trying to win the point, we're trying to win the point, but we're practicing the lob every time we do a repetition. All right, let's give it a go. Angus, you're going to feed the ball in and we'll play it out. Feed comes in, the lob,
Is he back?
and we play it out. Okay, there's a lovely example of where that rally's ended. You've had a nice topspin lob over the middle, which also gives them uncertainty as to who's hitting that.
Yeah.
But that was a perfect example of a great lob, an offensive lob, because you were in position, you were able to hit it straight over their head.
Wicked. I really want to use this now, all the time.
Well done on that last exercise. I think you've mastered that offensive topspin lob. We're now going to take on something a little trickier, but again, we saw it in the points that we were watching in the pro game, and this is that two-ball pass option. So it's actually the opposite of a topspin lob. And so the tactical scenario again is the same. Your opponents are coming to the net, and my objective is to try and dip the ball to Angus's feet and force him, Kate, to make contact
on his volley below the line of the net. All right, so let's give that a go, all right? So if you can simulate yourself coming into the net, and I'm gonna try and hit that low ball to your feet, all right? So we come in and drop it down. Okay, so you can see there, Kate, what I tried to do is hit through the ball, not up like the lob, and smother it with topspin to dip it down into his feet. If the ball is made contact with below the line of the net, he's gonna have to hit up, which sets us up with a nice opportunity to attack that next ball, and there you've got your 2-ball pass.
All right, I'm up. Come on, Angus.
There's your lob. Just remember to hit through that ball a little more horizontal and brush over it to try and get it to dip down. That's the big difference. Lovely. Great shot. That was right down below the feet. You could see there he was under pressure. That's exactly the kind of shot you want to play.
Okay.
Really, the purpose of this exercise is just to try it out and experiment in that tactical situation where you are forced to hit the ball into his feet to try and get the upper hand. Really nice example. What you did there was the ball was low, you hit through it, it dropped to his feet, which makes it really hard for him to hit an effective or aggressive shot. So really good, and then you'd be looking to attack that next ball after the volley. What that was, it was an example of a closed practice where you isolate the shot and you get lots of repetitions on trying to dip it to the feet. How we would progress that now would be to bring in Isabella and Angus, and we play points where they start at the net, we start at the baseline, and we're just trialing and practicing hitting low to the feet or hitting a high lob. And just remember, when you've got the lob, that path of the racket needs to be a bit more vertical, whereas when you're trying to hit to the feet, you want a bit more of a horizontal racket path to get that ball control that you want, either nice and low or a lot of height on it.
Brilliant stuff, Merlin. Thank you so much. I can really see how we're going to develop this one going forward. Isabella, Angus, thank you for your time. Unfortunately, that is all we've got time for this episode of Inspired By. If you want to find lots more exclusive content, then head to Advantage. It's all there. And we'll catch you next time for another episode of Inspired By. See you then.